are getting a clearer picture of how Americans are feeling about President Trump and his economic policy.
What do you mean? Harry Anton says Americans are not buying what Trump is selling them. Trump is selling them prosperity. Do Americans not want prosperity? I don't understand. Everything he said is in the direction of prosperity.
12 weeks into his second term. CNN chief data analyst Harry Anton is here to run the numbers. Hello, Harry. Happy Sunday to you.
You as well.
Okay, so where are we with Americans and how they're viewing the economy?
Yeah, so a CBS News YouGov poll came out earlier today, and I will just say, I'll put it in stark terms, I believe this is the worst poll that Donald Trump has received in his second term, and we can go through it, Jessica. Let's talk about the economy, right? Think the economy is getting worse. Back in November, it was 42% of Americans. You don't have to be a genius to follow this timeline. By February, it was 49%, March, 51%. Look at where we are now, 53%. The clear majority of Americans think the economy is getting worse, and that number is rising. When Trump, of course, won that second term, it was 42%. Now we're up 11
Holy Toledo.
points. The clear majority, 53%. This poll and this number in particular is no bueno.
Bro, they're losing their business and still crying and blaming everybody else.
I love this for you. I love this. Nice. I love this for you. I love to see you fail. I love to see your family be affected and hurt because you voted for Trump. Yeah, I voted for Trump. Absolutely. Did I know he was going to increase the tariffs? Yes, I did. However, I thought that the infrastructure would be set up prior.
How, dude? How? How did you think that? Why did you think that? He said tariffs are the greatest word in the English language. He never said building a robust manufacturing base is the greatest word in the English language. It'd be multiple words anyway. It would be multiple words. He never uses multiple words. He just used the one word. Why did you think that that was within his capabilities? I don't understand it. He said he's going to do mass deportations and tariffs. That's what you voted for. Why the fuck? Why did you think that there was going to magically be factories everywhere? Like where? Where would the fucking factories come from?
For small business to come back to America and manufacture in America. So to wish ill on someone and to love the fact that they're suffering, to love the fact that their family is being negatively affected because I didn't vote the same way that you did is fucked up. It really is. It shouldn't matter. Anyone that enters my life, I'm going to judge you of who you are, how you are as a human being. Are you kind?
Soy right. Again, many such cases. Soy right versus dark woke. Dark woke is like, love this for you. Your business is failing. I hope you can't feed your children. Soy right's like, how dare you? I'm doing a bodies in spaces. You don't understand. When I voted for the guy who said he's going to deport everyone that hurts my feelings to El Salvador, I was doing that in a woke way. I was doing that because I thought it would be good for America. Okay, how dare you? How dare you say that I voted for a fucking fascist piece of shit? It's really messed up, dude.
Are you polite? Are you sincere? That's how.
Yeah, okay, dude. You didn't vote for a polite or a sincere guy. You know, what do you mean?
I judge you, not who you voted for. I've got far left-leaning friends. I got far right-leaning friends. It doesn't matter to me. I like you based on who you are. But to see someone hurt and their business fail and their family be affected because they didn't vote the way.
I mean, dog, you literally voted for this. That's why they're laughing. Like, you voted for this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a thing that he kept a secret. You even admit that he was going to do the tariffs. And that's what you voted for. Like, what can we do? Not laugh at this? This is the funniest. This is the only person to laugh at. You know?
You did?
I don't get it.
It's fucked up. I'm sorry. A lot of you are fucked up. I'm sorry. We should all care about each other regardless of who we voted for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, dude.
Paul's
Trump's tariffs are knocking out a major leg of the podcaster economy by taking out e-commerce. I know. Silver lining, baby.
Even though I agree with them on principle, are overlooking the impact, especially on smaller companies, due to just-in-time inventory policies. I'll give you a quick lecture on what it's like managing logistics. All right, I run a protein bar company, founded it with another guy, Marco Lobliner, a bodybuilder and a friend of his. Okay. We order inventory, we ran out of inventory. People go, how do you run out of inventory? What is screw up? And the answer is we don't really know. You have to test the market. You order inventory, cash flow comes in, you order more inventory, you hope you order the right amount. If you order too much, then where are you going to warehouse it? So you order everything just in time. Now these bars, by the way, are not subject to the tariffs, so this is not self-interested. I'm using that only to illustrate a point. Okay, so what happens if you run a company like Bill Ackman flagged this, where he's investing in a company that's a cold brew company that's in Whole Foods, but your glass bottles come from China, your lids come from China. You have to order everything just right, because if you order too much, where are you going to keep the glass? If you don't order enough, then you're out of stock, then you don't have cash flow. So that on the individual level, everybody has to run their company this way. Everybody does. It's easy to say these people are whining, but no, you have to run your company this way, because otherwise you have too much cash flow tied up in the inventory, then you can't market, then you can't make payroll, then you can't make key hires. How do you hire a CFO if your money's all tied up in inventory? You have 1,000 different things you have to worry about with the company, and this point of view is not being looked at with the Trump administration. So for example, Apple is going to get exempted from the tariffs. These big companies are fine. NVIDIA, they're going to get exempted. But what about the cold brew company, right? What about the companies that are running just-in-time inventory rationally, and now they have these tariffs, they're going to get margin squeeze, they're going to go out of business? What really is going to happen? So Trump needs a e-commerce small business council. People with companies that are doing $50 million or less in revenue, this needs to happen immediately. Immediately, there needs to be an e-commerce council. Founders who are making $50 million.
We need an e-commerce council. The podcaster economy is in shambles. Remember when I told you that this would also happen? Donald Trump actively coming after the one base of permanent support, the podcaster economy and the drop shippers and the Trump merch economy. It's hard not to laugh, you know?
$1 or less. I can think of a lot of these companies who are doing it. They cannot be overlooked.
Breaking news. The Trump administration took steps towards imposing new tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceutical products using a national security rule. I thought it was Don Quixote behind him too, chatter. I don't know. It looked like it could be. Like it's how Don Quixote envisions himself, right? Oh, this was really funny. Also, America would be better off if more people worked in manufacturing. 80% of Americans agree. 20% disagree. I would be better off if I worked in a factory. 25% of Americans agree. 73% disagree. 2% currently work in a factory. So it turns out that Americans just want other people's children to go to the factory floor. They don't want to do it themselves, which is so shocking to me. Oh my God. This is precisely the reason why I kept saying it's not the manufacturing jobs that Americans desire. It's the actual fantasy of having unionized labor that offers you tremendous benefits and a higher piece of the profits so that you can have a comfortable existence. We have jobs already in this country. Service economy jobs, for example. Lots of those jobs are gig economy jobs. The problem isn't that the jobs are gay or woke or not hardcore and hard labor. That's precisely the reason why I also kept repeating that many people that have parents that have worked in construction, or many people that currently in my community that work in menial labor, for example, construction jobs or factory jobs, don't want their children to work in factory jobs. That's kind of the American dream. The American dream is you break your back so your next of kin doesn't have to. But because we're so far removed from having any sort of factory jobs whatsoever, that people forgot about it and simply fantasize about it. Same principle behind coal miners. Nobody wants black lung. They just want a good income. They want to be able to have a single parent work in a 2-parent household, and the other parent can just fucking take care of the children or do whatever the fuck they want to do. They want to be able to go on vacation. That is what people want. It's not about wokeness at all. It's so stupid. That's it. But you're not getting that. No one is getting that. What we're getting instead is no manufacturing, higher prices in general, and no fixing of the no like onshoring. And even if there was any sort of marginal onshoring, it wouldn't mean good jobs to begin with.
For the president of the United States, Jessica.
And who are they blaming for what they are seeing as an economic downturn?
Yeah, okay. So, obviously, you had Joe Biden before you had Donald Trump. And, of course, Donald Trump would say, you know, Joe Biden left us in a horrible state and I have to help dig us out of it. All right, so let's take a look here. More responsible for the state of the economy or the economic state. In March, CBS News asked about inflation, and 38% said it was Joe Biden who was more responsible, compared to 34% who said Donald Trump. Let's jump forward to now, in the month of April. Look at this number, 54%.
Wait, 21% still say it's Biden's fault? Why? Did Biden hit Donald Trump with the mind laser beam? Like, am I misreading this data? Did they think that like Biden is responsible for Trump doing the tariff scheme?
Of Americans say that Donald Trump is more to blame for the state of the economy than Joe Biden. Joe Biden's number has fallen from 38% to 21%. Donald Trump may try to blame Joe Biden for this, and maybe that was working a month ago in the month of March. But since the tariff war has begun, it's not working anymore. Americans are not buying what Donald Trump is selling them. They believe, the clear majority, 54%, that Donald Trump is more to blame for the state of the economy at this point than Joe Biden is, Jessica.
That is interesting to see how that evolves just in the last month, really.
Yeah.
How are they viewing tariffs?
Yeah. Okay. So obviously the big thing when it comes to the state of the economy right now for Donald Trump is tariffs. So let's take a look here. All right. The tariff plan, new tariffs on importing goods, opposed versus favor. You go back to January. Look at this. 48% said they favored these new tariffs, these Donald Trump tariffs, compared to 46% who opposed. Look at where we are now in the CBS News YouGov poll. A switcheroo, Jessica, a switcheroo. The clear majority, 58% of Americans oppose these new tariffs compared to just 42% who favor them. Again, this is part of the picture that we've seen throughout this presentation, right, Jessica? More and more people are turning against Donald Trump. Their views of the economy are getting worse. They are holding Donald Trump responsible. And when it comes to his signature issue, so far in his second term, tariffs.
Yeah. This is the meme. Who wants more American factories? Who wants to work in the American factories? Nope.
I mean, my goodness gracious, that trend line is ridiculously awful for Trump. The opposition number from 46 to 58 and the favor from 48 to 42. Americans have switched on a dime on the economy, on Donald Trump, in large part because of the tariffs, which they increasingly do not like.
And what's the biggest problem with Trump's plan for these people?
Well, I think it's the biggest problem that you hear our analysts say all the time is they don't know what the heck.
My uncle's blaming Biden that he will go out of business because of the tariffs. That's amazing. Your uncle is keep me posted on your uncle's activities. I love that.
Donald Trump is doing. It's his approach. I mean, take a look here. Trump's approach to tariffs and trade, that is the way he's going about it. Just 37% of Americans like it. Look at this number. 63%, nearly 2/3 dislike it. Among independents, Jessica, it's just...
Bro, I told you, the one thing that you can't touch are the fucking treats. Nobody listens to me. I said this. Donald Trump came after the treats. He said the treatlerites will suffer. And lo and behold, you can't fuck up the bag. You can't, in Felix's words, you can't molest the money, okay? And you can't touch the treats. You can't, I don't know. This is why I always laugh whenever people, 36K people listening, Lamau, this guy's a character, Lamau. We are all here listening. Look. I've been saying this was going to happen for fucking months since he started unveiling the tariff agenda. This is why I always laugh whenever someone tells me approval ratings of a particular issue, an issue that hasn't been solved yet, an issue that Americans haven't seen with their own two eyes, like an issue that Americans haven't experienced yet or even feel like is real. When it's pure fantasy, when it's just a policy that a popular figure like Donald Trump is pushing for, then people can find themselves on board with it. But once it becomes a reality, everybody goes, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. What do you mean? What the fuck? Why would you? I don't want to pay $3,000 for a Switch 2. What the fuck is this? This is why I always say, get the fuck out of here. Oh, this is a 2080 issue. It's like, yeah, no, it's not. Okay? It's not. It's a major problem with the Democrats that they don't actually actively present a counter narrative against these sorts of things to build up enough resentment so it doesn't even happen ahead of time. They did this with Medicare, or not Medicare for all. Sorry, some chatter was saying Medicare for all. Did this with immigration. Would this happen with Medicare for all as well? Certainly. The immediate period of instability that happens when Medicare for all is implemented would cause a lot of people to say, oh, I don't want this. But once the dust is settled, you would never be able to take that away. Okay? It would take decades and decades of austerity until people were open to privatization. And the greatest example I can give you is Social Security or congestion pricing in New York City. Thank you. Exactly. People fought hard against congestion pricing. People fought long and hard against congestion pricing. Then what did they do? Once it was implemented, people were like, never mind. This was actually awesome. This was a good thing. Okay? Same with Social Security. Social Security is very hard to take away. Very politically unpopular to take away. The problem is the elites know this. That's why they fight long and hard to ensure that there's never any sort of socialization when it comes to medicine. That's it. Republican policies in general, right-wing policies in general, revolve around breaking pre-existing systems or deregulation and destruction, which people think they like before it happens. When it does happen, they go, oh, fuck, I didn't like that. Left-wing policies, though, on the other hand, people might be resistant against, especially because there's a steady flow of propaganda showing you, telling you, lying to you that it's a bad thing if implemented. And there will be a little bit of instability in the interim once implemented. But in the long term, people like their social conditions, their material conditions improving, and will not allow you to take away the things that the government gives them. Okay? That's the major difference here.
28% of independents who like the way that Donald Trump is approaching tariffs and trade. And that's not much of a surprise because one day Donald Trump is saying one thing, the next day he's saying another. One day someone from his administration saying one thing, the next day that same exact person saying another. The message, simply put, is unclear. And it's the approach more than anything else, Jessica Dean, that the folks in the American public dislike about Donald Trump and his way that he's going about the tariffs and trade policy of the second Trump administration.
Even the Affordable Care Act, exactly. Good luck trying to take away the two anti-capitalist provisions baked into Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. Okay, pre-existing conditions and forcing insurers to provide family care until the age of 26. Those are the two anti-capitalist provisions inside of Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, which was ultimately a right-wing market-based solution and a hurdle against socialized medicine overall. You won't be able to take those away easily. I mean, Americans are very stupid, so maybe you can convince them. Probably not, though. Seemingly, it's been hard to tackle. Donald Trump tried to tackle it last time around, was not able to do so, and backed away from it ultimately. So
very interesting. And then overall, how does this affect his approval rating?
Yeah, okay, so we talk about the economy, right? But does the economy, the way people feel about the economy, equal the way they feel about Donald Trump overall? Because if it doesn't, if these two paths don't cross, then these numbers don't mean anything.
Right.
But let's take a look right here. Donald Trump's net approval rating. In early February, according to CBS News, look at that, it was +6. Late February, +2. March, 0. Even approval, disapproval. Look at where we are now, -6 points. He's underwater for the first time in the CBS News YouGov poll, at least in his second term. Again, it's the trend line that's so important here, and the trend line and the American people are turning against Donald Trump. And that's why I said at the beginning, Jessica, that this, in my mind, is the worst poll that Trump has received in his second term so far.
All right, Harry Enton, as always, with the numbers there. Thank you so much.
the fact that it's only -6 is also another indication of Trump's overall popularity, the cult-like fervor surrounding his person, and how stupid Americans have become. Because I don't think that Biden would be able to. I don't think Biden would be able to retain only 6%, or not 6%. Sorry, -6% net approval if he were to implement actions such as this one. I feel like they'd assassinate him. You know, I mean, first time he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do tariffs, Jack." He'd be packed up. They would shove him into a locker and replace him with a body double pronto.
So much.